What's up? It's your boy Cole Mize with ColeMizeStudios.com, bringing you another segment of Be a Better Rapper Now. One of the keys to having a really good sounding rap voice is learning how to control your voice with breathing techniques. If you're having issues with running out of breath, then this is going to have a negative impact on your rap voice, because it's going to cause the tone and the energy of your rap voice to diminish significantly. And in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you my 5 best breathing techniques to ensure that your rap voice always sounds as good as it possibly can. So without further ado, let's get it! Okay, tip number 1 is to keep tabs on how many vowels that you're using. This is because vowel sounds use a ton of air because there's nothing restricting the airflow when you make these type of sounds with your mouth. So the more that you use vowels, the quicker that you will deplete the air in your lungs. In the English language, A, E, I, O, and U, and sometimes Y and H are considered vowel sounds. The opposite of vowel sounds are called consonants. And these type of sounds actually restrict airflow in your mouth, which means that you don't use as much air when you're using consonants. For example, the word hey is made up entirely of vowel sounds, which uses a ton of air. And the word no has a vowel sound and a consonant sound in it, which means it's going to use up about half of the amount of air that the word hey is going to use. This is because in order to say the N sound in the word no, you have to touch your tongue to the roof of your mouth, which restricts airflow. If you wish to test this out for yourself, try to say the word hey back to back as many times as you can without breathing, and time yourself while you do it. And then do the same thing with the word no, and see if you can say no longer than you can say hey. Now, in my efforts to make this video as least boring as possible, I went ahead and did this experiment myself. And these were my results. I was able to say hey for 13 seconds without breathing, and I was able to say no for 28 seconds without breathing. So if you notice an area in your verse where you're running pretty low on air, see if you can replace maybe some vowel heavy words with some words that have consonants in them. Okay, tip number 2 is all about posture. If you're rapping while you're sitting in a chair, make sure that you're sitting up straight, because if you're slouched over, then the pressure from your body is going to be pushing down on your lungs, which is going to cause the air to be pushed out of your lungs much faster while you're rapping. This also applies if you're rapping on stage and you're bending over to try to get closer to the audience. That pressure from you bending can actually put more pressure on your lungs, which can cause air to be leaked out much faster. So having good posture isn't only healthy for your back, but it also helps you get the best performance out of your rap vocals. A common mistake that I see rappers make is they don't take a breath until they're about to run out of breath, which by that time is just too late. Because by that time, the quality of your vocals have already been compromised, and when you go to take that breath that you so desperately need, it's going to most likely be very loud and not really satisfying to the ears. You know what I'm saying? You see, the way that we breathe as rappers is a little bit different than how you would breathe throughout just a normal day. You see, we don't wait until we run out of breath to breathe. We typically take very short and shallow breaths very often. I recommend breathing at least every other bar or so for about the length of an eighth note. And if you don't know what an eighth note is, then make sure you check out this video on Music Notes Explained. Let's do a quick experiment to help you get more familiar with measuring your pauses to different lengths, such as quarter notes, eighth notes, and 16th notes. So let's go ahead and take a look at that real quick. So what I'm about to do with you right now is I'm going to do a drill with you. So if you see here in the yellow, this is just doing the 8 count. And on the 4th beat, we take a pause for that entire 4th beat. So this is a quarter note pause. This is a really nice long pause. And then after that, we'll do the an 8th note breath. So the same thing, but on this one, on the 4th beat, we're only going to take a 8th note breath. Okay, so it's going to be shorter. It's going to be half of the quarter note, basically. So we'll try that. And then in the orange, you see a 16th note breath. Now this is a really short breath. It's a little bit difficult to pull off, but we still use it a lot in rapping, not like all the time per se, because this is like when you're really pushing the boundaries where you may take a very short breath like this. But an 8th note breath is pretty short, but 16th notes is very, very short breath. So the way this is going to work is I'm going to actually play a new instrumental that I produced called Fairy Tales. And if you like this beat, you can actually get this beat by just clicking on the icon up at the top of your screen, that little I icon. It'll take you to the beat store where you can check out the beat there. So let me go ahead and demonstrate to you the quarter note breath first. All right, so let's check this out. All right, here we go. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. Okay, on that I was just, over exaggerating that breath, so just to make sure that you could hear me. But now let's throw it back and forth. So I'm going to do it for 2 bars. So I'll do it up until the breath that you see there on that 4th beat. And then I'll pass it off to you. You do it for 2 bars and we'll just kind of throw it back and forth just a couple of times. All right, let's get it. And 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. There we go. So that's the quarter note breath. All right, now let's do the 8th note breath. This one just half of the length of the quarter note breath. All right, so let me just demonstrate that to you real quick. This one is very common for us to use as rappers. And 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. All right, now let's just pass it back and forth. All right, here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, now let's do the 16th note breath. This one's fast. This one's a lot more difficult to do, but let me demonstrate it to you. Here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 you know the drill. I'm gonna pass it back and forth with you now. Let's get it. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. All right, there we go. Now my 4th tip has to do with volume. The louder that you rap, the quicker that you're gonna deplete your air. I found that rappers just rap way too loud for 2 main reasons. The first reason is they're trying to add more energy to their delivery. This isn't wrong per se, but you shouldn't rely solely on raising the volume of your voice to add more energy to your rap voice. You see, the louder that you rap, the less big your vocal will actually sound. It's because the louder that you get, the less bass is going to be in your voice, which means it's going to make your voice actually sound thinner from a tone perspective. It's the microphone's job to make you loud. It's the microphone's job to control your volume. So let the microphone do the heavy lifting when it comes to how loud that you are. Plus, the volume of your voice is going to be controlled in your song's mix. So focus on rapping at lower volumes, but with high energy. Try to get the best of both worlds, because if you can do that, then you're likely going to get the best sounding vocal possible in most cases. And as an extra bonus to this, not only is it going to help improve the tone of your rap voice, the quality of your rap voice, but it's also going to allow you to rap longer without having to breathe. The second reason that rappers typically rap too loud is because they're trying to rap over an instrumental that's already been mastered by whatever producer they got the beat from. And the problem with that is they'll typically rap louder just so they can hear themselves on the headphones. So what I recommend is just turning down the instrumental. I usually do it around -10 to -12 dB or so. And I try to have my vocals level around like -18-ish, maybe peaking around like -12, -10 at the most. And that way I can hear myself clearly in the headphones without trying to destroy my voice from just rapping way too loud just for the sake of hearing myself. So turn the instrumental down and just play around with a little bit with the headphones just to make sure that you can hear yourself. Just play around with the levels of your audio interface and the instrumental and just create a nice balance. But don't just rap over just a really loud instrumental and blow your voice out because of it, okay? Preserve that voice. Tip number 5, the longer that you rap without breathing, the more space you're gonna need afterwards to recover. I like to call this sprinting. So if you're sprinting during a certain section of your rap verse, make sure that you're giving yourself enough air before you go into that sprint, and also after you sprint, make sure you're giving yourself enough room to recover from it and get that air back in your lungs. So let's take a look at an example of me sprinting during a verse, and we'll just talk through it here in just a second. Yeah. It's been a minute since you witnessed me spitting some writtens over a dope beat with some instruments in it. I've been missing, don't get it twisted. Whatever your deal is, I've been behind the scenes, literally been minding my business and working my vision to the point I lost the concept of night and day. Grinding all the time like Tony Hawk. I don't play, you'll never get results by putting your goals in the microwave. There's people who make excuses and there's people who make a way. So I can tell you what was on last night, and I don't know who it was that won that fight, man. I didn't watch the Oscars, cause life's like a trash can. You get out what you put in, and that's real facts, man. You're either a spectator or a participant. You're either a consumer or you're contributing. And truth be told, they both need one another. So just know your role and get your bread and your butter. So let's take an example of me sprinting during a verse, and let's talk about a couple of things here. So if you look here, I want you to mainly just focus on bar 3, 4, and 5 on the left-hand side there. If you notice, there's no breaths at all on those bars. And the only way that can work is because I set it up at the 4th beat of bar number 2. You'll see I put a pause there, I put a breath there. And you'll also notice right after bar number 5, I put a pause on the 1st beat of bar number 6 to recover. So I've set myself going into it, and I've also allowed myself time to recover after it. So what I'm gonna do now is just wrap this part for you up until bar number 6, and you'll be able to hear how this is actually working and why this is so important. A lot of people don't realize how important it is to notate where you're breathing and stuff like that, because this is the lifeline of your rap verse. You know, if you don't know where you're breathing, if you don't understand, you know, how much space that you need to breathe, then you will struggle to be able to rap your verse the same way over and over again, consistently without running out of breath. And you don't necessarily have to like be, you know, this detailed as far as knowing, is this an 8th note or a 16th note or a quarter note? Like, don't worry about that. You know, it's just, I'm giving you visuals so you can see what's going on. But the main thing is make sure you're notating where you're breathing at, so you know, so you make sure that you're getting enough air during your verse. So just check this out. Watch how I set this up. Let's check it out real quick. Yeah, yeah. It's been a minute since you witnessed me spitting some writtens over a dope beat with some instruments in it. I've been missing, don't get it twisted. Whatever your deal is, I've been behind the scenes, literally been minding my business and working my vision to the point I lost the concept of night and day. Grinding all the time like Tony Hawk, I don't play. All right, so there you go. And as you can see here, without these 2 pauses right here, I would not be able to do what I'm doing. I've got that pause going into it, the pause going out of it to allow me to go this long without breathing. So, but what I'm going to do to demonstrate like how crucial this is I'm going to remove that top breath that you see on the 4th beat of bar number 2. So I'm going to remove that pause, that breath, and I'm going to put the word yeah right there. So I'm going to remove that little bitty pause right there, and I'm going to continue rapping, and just watch how this falls apart now. This is not going to be a pretty sight, so let me just demonstrate that to you right now. And say a prayer for me. Here we go. It's been a minute since you witnessed me spitting some writtens over a dope beat with some instruments in it. Yeah, I've been missing, don't get it twisted. Whatever your dealers, I've been behind the scenes, literally been minding my business and working my vision to the point I lost the concept of night and day. See, right there towards that end, it just fell apart. It just fell apart. It's just how crucial, man, when it comes to pauses and breaths. I keep calling them pauses, but I mean breathing. Giving yourself the adequate space to breathe is so crucial. Like just removing that one breath caused what I was doing to fall apart, because it's already a very busy verse what's going on, and it's crucial that I get that breath in there. With that being removed, man, it just falls apart. So let's do a quick recap. My 5 best breathing techniques for rappers are: number 1, reduce the amount of vowels that you're using to keep more air in your lungs. Number 2, ensure that you're rapping with good posture so the weight of your body isn't squeezing extra air out of your lungs. Number 3, make sure that you're taking short, shallow breaths at least every other bar or so to ensure that you're never even getting close to running out of breath. Tip number 4 is to focus on rapping at a lower volume. Let the microphone make you loud, let it do the heavy lifting, and focus on getting the best tone out of your voice, and focus on putting energy into your voice even at a lower volume. This is going to preserve your voice so you can rap longer without your voice getting scratchy and hoarse sounding. And it's also going to cause you to use less air in your lungs, so that means you can rap longer without even breathing. And tip number 5, when you're doing a sprint in your rap verse where you're going to go 2 to 3 bars or more without breathing, make sure that you're giving yourself plenty of room to breathe going into it, and also give yourself plenty of time afterwards to recover from it by breathing as well. So there you have it. That's my 5 best breathing techniques for rappers. I hope that is helpful to you. If you're new to my channel, I'd also like to hook you up with a free copy of my ebook, The #1 Fundamental to Rapping. You can get it by just clicking that little eye up there that you see, and it's going to take you through all the basics of rapping, how it works, and it's also going to share with you what I consider to be the most important, the #1 fundamental to rapping. It's an easy read, so regardless of how long you've been rapping, this is going to help you get a really good grasp and wrap your mind how all this stuff works. So make sure you get yourself a copy of that. I think you're going to really enjoy it. Again, this is Cole Mize with ColeMizeStudios.com. I'm signing off, and remember, when it comes to rapping, there's no rules, there's only techniques. Peace.